when I drove school bus years ago, and this has happened a few times, but kids ask me, Pacific, what is the difference between being an adult and being a child? I said, the playground's bigger. And what do you mean? So, well, you ever ridden with your mom and dad in the car? Yeah. You ever seen adults when a lane's going to end? The shoulder doesn't hardly exist. Their lane is gone and they're still can't get in line, wait their turn, but they got to pass and go around illegally. I said the rudeness, the lack of manners, the bullying, tailgating you. You're going the speed limit and you get the guy in the big Silverado roars up, crowds your in my pickup. All you see is the plastic, silly little grill of the Pinewood Derby unfinished Silverado style truck. Blocky, stupid looking, and some man in there feels like he's the summa cum laude alpha in a really gayish looking truck. Okay. And they roar up on you and then they drive over that line so they can stare at you in the mirror and say, you better get out of my way. But what about this one? Doing some hard physical manual labor at my job this summer. And I'm just going to say it. I work with African Americans, the majority. And my work ethic, my cultural upbringing is not the same as theirs. I'm not from the South. I'm proud of that fact, by the way. I like being in the South, but I'm not Southerner, and I will never identify as a Southerner. I will always identify first as California, but I really liked the North. The older I get, and the more experiences I have, I like a lot less people. People ruin a place. I could live in a desert if the community was warm, caring, love, and intimate. A desert could be an oasis with the right people. Paradise with a bunch of unkind, nasty, narcissist, materialist. Who wants to live in that? Unless you're one of them. But I noticed some peer pressure all my life to conform. If you don't wear the right clothes, if you don't do the latest in vogue hairstyle. I remember in Denver many years ago, 90s, I called it the pubic patch, the mustache and the circle. All the downtown office boys and all the silly little boys with the little short haircuts and the gel in their hair. I thought, boy, if that doesn't say gayish, I don't know what does. Just when I use the word gay, I don't need the LGBT community saying I'm hating on them. That's a term we used in the 70s. That car is gay. That bike is gay. That dress is gay. The teacher's gay. This homework is so gay. It was just an expression that I love it. I said, man, that's really gay. It just works. But why are you going to have this? It looks like a girl between her legs, and you're going to walk around as a grown man looking like a pubic patch on your face. and that's society. They just follow the sheeple. But another thing, and I was having a conversation with my roommate, and because everybody listens, we're not going to get personal, but it's funny in the culture that I work in. I have been in a very interesting place for the last 5 years. That I'm a minority. Number one, number two, the black culture and me don't think alike. There's no doubt about that. Now I get along with quite a few black people. I go to lunch with them, talk to them on the phone, hang out. We can talk. We can do things. But there's a lot of black culture that I don't dig it. I don't appreciate it. I said yesterday, I'm so tired of the blacks screaming about a white guy or anybody else using the N word. I'm like, well, you guys say it every day. So, you kind of got to model what you want. And when you don't do that, and whites are finally standing up little by little saying, hey, man, freedom of speech. You guys say it all day long and you get better. Somebody said the black community is very fragile. I never saw that until I read that comment. And it's the damn truth. They're very, very insular. They're very race driven focus. In my workplace, they're favored. I've watched employees do wrong off the wall stuff. They don't get suspended. They don't get fired. Any place I worked, that would have been an instant loss of job. And now I'm working with others, and I watched somebody supposed to start work at 5 a.m., sits in his personal vehicle, then sits in the company vehicle for a whole hour before starting the shift, and is writing on the sign-in sheet that I also have to sign, because I've had people stealing overtime and lying about how many hours they were working. So now we not only have to clock in, we have to sign and put what time we started, what time we clocked out every day. I'm like, wow, this guy's grabbing an hour every day and he's not doing a blasted thing. And what bothers me about that is his other profession is in the ministry. That's disturbing. The other thing I've noticed is I work hard. I will hurt myself. I work that hard. I see a job to do. I want to tackle it, get it done. This week was hot. It was 102 down here in the dirty South. The humidity yesterday was about 70 to 80%. It was ridiculous. And you're just wet, dripping wet with sweat. Dripping on my glasses, running down my face, constantly wiping my face, moving my mane out of my way. And I noticed that this culture out here loves to stand around and take every opportunity to waste time, to BS, to stop, to talk, to waste time. They recognize their own color as their heroes. There are people that I work with that all of the blacks say, oh, this guy's a hard worker. This guy's so good. This guy's so nice. And I start working with some of these people and going, man, their assessment is really not accurate. I see a lot of people at work wasting company time. There's a woman that has a temp. She works there year round, but she's got a temporary position as a captain over a team right now. And she sits in the air conditioned building and yada, yada, yada on her phone. She's grossly overweight. And last year, when I came into the employee break room, they taken out the regular drinking fountain and they put in one with a gooseneck. All right, now what did they do that for? And I go in to get a drink and I stick my head under the thing. I don't put my lips on it, let the water fall into my mouth. The other thing I do is the bathroom doors, there's two bathrooms. They don't say men or women. You can use either or if there's nobody in it. And the door was open. I walked in. I washed my hands. I walked out. And the girl that needs to really worry about focusing on disciplining her own eating habits and her weight says, you always leave the door open. I said, no, that is untrue. I said it was open. I walked in and I washed my hands and I pushed it, but it didn't shut all the way. And she wanted to argue. And I almost turned around and said, so are you the bathroom patrol? Are you the break room queen? I mean, what is this? My roommate had told me a black woman she works with told her to her face. She said, the problem with black women, they get a little bit of power, it goes straight to their head. And I have watched this. Watched it. I have seen it. Black woman will pull out right in front of me in traffic. I mean, I'm in a lane of traffic going 45, and I have to hit the brakes and I honk. And she'll stop and look in that mirror. Oh, yes, we're so full of authority. We're going to stop somebody and let them have a piece of our mind. And I just go, ghetto, get out of the ghetto way. I keep my mouth shut a lot. I keep it shut at work. I don't say good morning to this person. I don't talk to her. I don't want to talk to her. And what's disturbing is people that claim to be Christians or ministers or in the ministry when they're fooling around, wasting time, and then they're coming and checking on me, picking at stuff. I don't want to turn around and say, I have done more volume and more work than you, and I've done quality work. And I've watched you've let things go by, and we found 4 mistakes that were big. It's very frustrating. And I talked with my roommate. I said, I work my butt off, and nobody seems to recognize that down here. And she put her finger on the pulse. She goes, you know why, don't you? She said, you set the standard. And you know the way men are, Pacific. They don't want to compete. They don't want to bring around anybody that makes them look like they're slacking. So they're not going to be comfortable with you. They're going to tell you to slow down. I remember last summer, we were doing a job, and there was another gentleman, now retired, black, and he would sit for hours sleeping on the job. I'd have to go ask him a question, and another lady that was working alongside of him was on her headset and sitting there doing nothing. And I'm like, wow, I'm busting my butt over here, and these two are just having a siesta every day. He came over to me and says, Mike, you're working too hard, man. You got to slow down. I said, I'm not going full speed. I'm going at a pace, and there's a lot to do. And I noticed that people here got a problem with my work ethic. This is the South. The South has had a reputation and a history for laziness, specifically in this ethnic dynamic community. And I'm amazed that people don't have any conviction about, hey, you're paid to work, put in an honest day's work, and then go home and piddle around and BS and do what you want. And what frustrates me is I'm not recognized. The clowns are recognized. We have an advertisement right now to attract more employees. The starting pay, how many hours a week you get, blah, blah, blah. And the person they chose as the poster child is not a safe employee, doesn't follow the rules employee. And I'm like, why does our employer pick people who are not examples of what we ought to be? Welcome to Black America, but is this only there? I've seen it other places I worked. When I worked for Denver Public Schools, Hispanics were favored, bad Hispanics that didn't do their job. Here it's blacks. In other places, it's white feminist women get away with murder. They can say rude comments, make rude comments. I was on a site this morning, and somebody had posted a picture of a front yard with a stump, and it looked like, I don't know what it was. It looked like a dang woodchuck. It says, animal coming home to find his home's been cut down. That's all pro animals. But I left a sensitive comment. I said, I had a big oak tree that I had to have removed recently. It had big limbs hanging over my house and my neighbors, and they were big. And if they were to fall, it would crush the roof of my home. Was it home to squirrels and birds? Yes, it was. But I'm not going to have my home destroyed. There was rot in the tree. The leaf dump was outrageous. And sometimes I love trees, but sometimes you got to get rid of some. A lot of people thumbs up my comment. A woman on Facebook who has no profile picture, got doggies and cat footprints and, the animal worshiping queens, had to come back with a snarky remark. And I'm trying to remember how she couched it. But so what you're telling us is you don't feel bad because you cut down a tree. And I sent her a picture of a woman just going, on a GIF. I went on her Facebook page and saw all kinds of dumb posts about how she loves cats more than people and dogs more than people. And I put the ha-has and then I blocked. I'm going to say something about this country that has always been a problem with me. It's a smart ass nation. We've really descended into a smart ass comeback nation. Yesterday, I was doing something. I had to go up into parts department and get some materials, and I'm sweating. I drove the company van up to the other part of our campus, and I went up the stairs, and this black woman says, "Hey," I'm turning around, going, "Who is that?" You can't leave cardboard. I said, "Yeah." I said, "You know what? I forgot I had left it out there, and I'll get it when I'm done doing what I'm doing." She was very rude. Her bedside manner sucked as usual. And I went and looked out the door, wasn't even there. And what I had done is I had grabbed some cases of product, put it in the van, and I took some of the cardboard off the upper floor that I'd emptied stuff out of and was going to throw it in the dumpster. And I set it between an antenna mast outside the building and the metal pole building, and I wedged it in there so the wind wouldn't blow it as I loaded the cases into the van. And I shut the doors of the van and drove off and forgot to get it. And I thought to myself, women, let me give you a little heads up in the workplace. You don't think if anybody's rude to you, it's not okay. But I'm working my ass off. It's 100 something degrees with the humidity, the heat index. I'm dying out there. I'm working my ass off. And the only thing that comes out of your mouth is there were two pieces of cardboard wedged so they wouldn't blow away. Maybe you could have come to me and said, "Hey, can I chat with you?" Sure. Did you leave the cardboard? You know what? I put it there and I stuffed it in between there so the wind wouldn't blow it, and I loaded the product in the van and I forgot to put it in there. All she had to do was say, "Oh, okay. I just want to let you know we can't do that." And I would have said, "No, and that wasn't my intent. That won't happen again." And I'm going to say it. A lot of black women have no people skills, but not just them. Last night, I took my roommate to a nice Mexican restaurant. I personally tipped the waitress because she was really good. The Mexican waitresses are very good at this restaurant. They're standing attentively off to the side, watching the floor. They're not back there going, get, and doing dumb stuff like you see a lot of Caucasians. Well, we had eaten at an Asian restaurant, and I did the credit card and I wrote in the tip amount. And I couldn't see the server, so I left it, signed it, put the tip amount total, and left. I get home, and 2 days later, I'm doing my checkbook balance. I'm like, wow, they only charged me for the dinner for her and I. They didn't add in the tip. And the next time we came there, the waiter that was there not only did not come over to our table, but you could tell he was upset. I'm like, he probably thinks I stiffed him. And I was going to call him and say, "You know what? I don't know what happened, but I signed that receipt." So that's when I said to myself, from now on, you're going to give that receipt to somebody who works there. And the waitress didn't come back. I signed it out. I had paid her the tip, but I signed out the amount for the credit card. And I said to my roommate, I said, "You know what? I'm not going to leave this on the table. Somebody could be mean and write in a tip of $100 in here, and then I get on my credit card." She goes, "You got a good point." So I walked over to the front register. Once there's a white, immature, nasty, snotty, narcissistic little white girl, thought she was all that. I said, "Hey, my server wasn't there. We needed to go." And I thought, "Well, you could have just left it on the table." And I said, "No, honey, I'm not going to wait for somebody to put in an amount for tip and run my bill up." It's amazing how women in our society, they get away with nasty. They get away with snarky. They get away with rude. Men, you need to confront it right when it happens. "No, ma'am, that's not the way I do things. That's somebody could add an amount in the tip. I already paid her a tip personally. I don't need to come home and find $100 written in there. No, I want to make sure this gets to somebody." You're dumb. Would you tell me would I tell you to leave your purse and your checkbook and all your personal stuff on the table and walk away from it? Think, lady, before you run your foul mouth at me. And when I say foul, women have an attitude towards us. It's ingrained in them from the get-go. And what they fail to realize is a man brought them into the world, and they totally forget. Somebody's semen brought these sorry chicks into the world, and then they rise up to hate us, rise up to say they don't need a man. It's like, oh, I wish I had supernatural power to go back in time, and when that semen come out, it doesn't go to the egg, and the girl just vaporizes. Just like people who support abortion. I said, well, you're still here. How come you didn't get aborted? Yeah, it's easy for you to promote this. What if you'd have been the one aborted? Women are nasty in our culture. The other thing about society that's very interesting. Roommate is an attractive lady. She's got it together. She's a professional. And people automatically, whether it's in the restaurant or whatever, oh, look, there's boyfriend and girlfriend or husband and wife. No, we're good friends. There's no intimacy, no hanky-panky, kissing, holding hands, none of that. And I've noticed all my life that society likes to put a label and a box and package everything. I walk in with my kind of sleeveless style shirt on and my chain and my long hair, and white family sitting at tables look up like, oh my gosh. Somebody the other day made a comment when I criticized Lil Wayne because it came through my feed, and I said, nah. All I said is, nah, I'll listen to better music than this. Thank you. That's it. Here comes the racist. Oh, here you can see all the haters swinging. I looked at her Facebook. She supports cussing and profanity and ghetto behavior and haters, huh? Anybody that hates rap music is a hater. I should ask her, so do you like Thomas Dolby? Do you like Duran Duran? Do you like Gordon Lightfoot? No. Oh, hater, hater, hater. Sometimes you don't have to have infinite wisdom. You just take what they say, put it through your interpretation machine, turn it back to them and say, so do you like these groups? Oh, hell no. Oh, hater. Put the mirror back in their face and say, well, how does that work? Just like the Black community using the N-word, throwing it around. Even my friends that are Black women that talk to me on the phone and use the N-I-G-G-A word all the time, talking about other people. Let a white person say the N-word and it's racist. See, Michael's wisdom isn't flawed. It's accurate. It's dead on. You don't like the word, stop saying it. Dumb. Actually, a better word for you is you're a dumbass. You're a hypocrite. I remember growing up, my dad would say, gee, damn it, shit, damn it. When he got mad, I said crap, and I get my mouth washed out with soap and beat on the butt by the same father. And you parents out there that tell your kids to live by a standard and you don't follow it, I got a message for you. Read it in a week. You don't drive the speed limit. You're an aggressive driver with your children in the car. And then you get mad at your children when they break rules. How does that work, stupid parents in America? And we got a lot of stupid parents that go to church that are part of PTA. If you don't model, then what the hell are you getting on people for? But let's go back to me. You want to be lazy, Black person B, Black person C, Black person A. Don't come up to me and tell me to slow down. Don't come up and criticize me. I had applied interdepartmentally for another job, and all of a sudden, it dawns on me, do you want to work with this guy? Because this guy that's slacking, he's got seniority over you. You sure you want to do this? And I'm going, no, I really don't. Y'all notice something in our culture? There's a tug of war. If you step out of your confines and you go like I did to the Black community, oh my gosh, The pressure to be liked and to conform so that people leave you alone is terrific here. But because of what I've been through in my life, by the grace of God, I don't capitulate to that. I've had people pull up to the house here, knock on my door, pull into my driveway, all the way up in my driveway. I was got done with work last week early and was washing my truck by the hose in a bucket in the backyard, soaping, and the birds like to all over my truck, and the squirrel piss and everything else. And two black ladies pulled up in a Challenger and said, "Is this place for rent?" I said, "No, this is my home." "Oh, wow, we really like this place." And I will think that's a compliment. She goes, "No, this place looks really good." People are stopping and saying, "Is this for rent?" "Man, I like the way this looks. I like the color. I like this." This was a trash can house. And people, when I had a channel previously in 2019, made derogatory comments that Pacific had bought a wreck and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and none of these people that made that comment own their own home. And none of these people can do or would do what I've done. Authority comes from experience. Confidence comes from experience. And when you get better at something and you find your groove, something rises up inside of you and says, shut the fuck up, people. I don't care about your little racial bullshit. I don't care about your little narcissistic favoritism. I watch people I work with, another black person, "Oh, hi, how are you?" "Morning, Mike." I had to tell a grown man yesterday, "Mr. Mike." I said, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" I was very tender. I said, "Can you just call me Mike? I don't like being called Mr. Mike. That's, what happened when I was in elementary school. And I'm 58 years old." And I noticed that when I was at Denver, it was Mr. Mike, Miss Pam. And I said, no, we're not in grade school, folks. We're not in grade school. I had a woman at work. I was helping her when I had to ride her bus some time ago when I was, working in the buses. And I said, the kids were talking to me, and we pulled up at the school waiting for 20 minutes, and there were special needs kids, and I had to seatbelt them in and stuff because she didn't have an attendant that day. And it was a midday, and I had time to do it. And the kids point out, I said, "Where's the playground?" And a little girl goes, "There." I said, "Where's the bus driver?" "There." I said, "Where's Mike?" And points to the ceiling. I said, "Mike's not there. Mike's right here." Driver was out of her seat, fiddling around with her supply bucket in the seat behind her. She turns around and glowers at me, a black woman, and says, "Mr. Nelson, have you no respect for yourself?" And I said, "Excuse me, ma'am? Telling kids your first name. You don't do that." And I said, "Says who?" I said, "When I'm in Denver, I go by Mike. When I was in Duluth, when I was in Spokane." "Well, you're not in those places." I said, "Ma'am, that's what you do, but that's not what I do." "Well, okay, if you're willing to be disrespected." I said, "No, ma'am, I don't take disrespect. And when kids disrespect me, I address it. But me allowing them to call me by my first name is not disrespectful, ma'am. I grew up out west, and that's the way we do things out there." You ever run up against people like that? There's a whole country called America, and you can tell this woman's never been out of her little dumb, I'm going to say it, insular black culture. And it's like, I don't have to do things your way. This is not a work requirement. This is not part of social grace that I am obligated to follow. I'm a Western young man, and I do things differently. I don't put up with children disrespecting, and I'll shut it down as I need to. But a student saying, "Hey, Mike, This woman has a problem. She likes to lord it over people, be a bossy butt. Did not have near the experience of driving. She'd only been in it a few years and come up to my bus telling me, I said, whoa, 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 hold on, ma'am. I got this. I don't need to be trained by you. I got this. When we had the mask mandates, the kids were getting on my bus, and it was a middle school, and the kids would not put on their masks. And we were told to write them up. And the principal came out and said, hey, Mike, I'm just going to give you a heads up. I know you're told to write up these kids, but we're not going to do anything. We're not going to send them home. We're not going to kick them off the bus. My suggestion to you is hold the box out, give them the option of taking the mask. And if they don't want to wear it, I said, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. When the schools aren't going to do something about it, and she comes over to my bus and says, why don't you have it? I said, hey, mind your own busness. This is my bus. That's yours up there. I had to drive a route one day, and the middle school kids, all black, said, are we allowed to talk? I said, excuse me? Why are you asking me if you're allowed to talk? Because our driver says we can't say a word or we're going to be written up. I said, yeah. I said, okay. I said, well, that's not the way I roll. I said, as long as you're not screaming and yelling and sitting in your seats, yeah, you guys can have conversation. And this has nothing to do with anything, but she's a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat and believes a lot of hoo-ha. And I work with some really funky, messed up thinking people. And I don't hate black. I'm not racist. There's black women that I've looked at and thought, man, she's pretty until they open their mouth and they're, anti-white and pro-Obama and pro-black, and all they want to do is listen to black music and talk about black issues and greet other black. I notice the elevation in their voice when you come into a room and they treat their own kind much different than they treat me. It's a clique. It's a racial clique. And I look at in our workplace the people that get honored, the people that are the summer of stars. I said, every one of these people are not examples as worthy of being the poster child for the employer. And I have to recalibrate my mind all the time and go, you are living in a place that was like whites used to be way back in the day in the South. Whites didn't want to hire blacks. You had the good old boys club, immature, nasty men that would get revenge, and that even me as a white man would not feel comfortable working for white good old boy clubs. I'm not into that. Several years ago, I had an interview for a man who had a couple dump trucks and a track hoe excavator, and he would do road work, contract to do road work, and he needed a dump truck driver. And a lady from church knew him, recommended me. I had many years of accident-free, good driving experience. And you ever driven a dump truck before? I said, I drove them for the dealership. I didn't operate them, but I drove big Peterbilts, tandem axle straight dump trucks, and I would deliver them and take them around. And well, I had a driver that he went around a curve too fast with a load and flipped a brand new truck. I said, well, you're not going to have that with me. Well, that same guy also would take 3-hour lunch breaks. I said, now, why would he do that? I said, if I pull up at the asphalt, and you said sometimes we got to stand in the queue there for 2 hours, since I'm sitting in the truck, I'm going to eat my lunch right there. And he goes, oh, I like that. That's what I think when I'm out there. And he told me, in fact, before I got the interview, I came into the office that morning and he had a chipper, attractive, older secretary who was talking my ear off while I was filling. Yeah, the boss will want to meet you. He wants to see if, you'll gel with him. And that was more important to him. Can we be buds? She was telling me, he and the guys get together and they go out in the cabin. And I've been out there once, but I'm not into all the drinking and all that. And I said, well, I'm not either. And she was all talkative and chipper and nice. And she asked, hey, I just called him and he'd like to have you come back this afternoon for an interview. I said, I can do that. I'm off today. I said, I've got the time. And I met all the requirements. He said, well, I want somebody who's not going to. I said, I'm looking to get out of student transportation. So I'm not coming in here just to get a job and leave in 10 days. And this is what he said. He said, well, I just got to make sure you check out with my insurance. I should have thought, check out with your insurance. How does that work? And I was stupid. I didn't realize that was a code for I'm not comfortable with this guy. Grown men in our country and I don't generally get along. I'm not like most grown men, whether it's the stoic men in Minnesota that, have no emotion and, make sarcastic remarks to anybody that's not just like them, or in the black culture down here, the laziness. And they see my drive, they see me go getter. And every day, Mike, you need to slow down, man. You need to chill, man. I said, no, I got stuff to do, man. It's called they're paying me, man. And it's amazing that when you don't conform, when you be yourself, there is suffering, there is harassment, there is teasing, there is name calling, there is bullying that goes on. Better Build Aluminum, Prescott Valley, Arizona, windows and doors. There was a guy, and I think it's safe to say he's probably not alive now. I'm sure he doesn't work there, but Rhino was his nickname. Big strapping guy that ran the shipping dock. I had to come to him because I was a warehouse production puller, would grab the carts off the assembly lines for the different windows, the 5.0s and the patio doors and the specialty orders and the garden windows, which were those little solar windows that stuck sideways out the house that had the glass shells and you could put some plants in there. It's funny, you don't see those anymore. They were really cool back then, but construction of homes is not putting them in because the glass would compromise fog and they just didn't turn out to be a real winner. They were in a day. And when I worked at that factory, there were some shippers. There's a couple guys, one guy named Jim, his sister worked there, Leslie, who was a big biker chick, not pretty, had the long hair, big and heavy, and hair under the arms. And she was on one of the line leaders. She's just a brutish, unladylike, uncouth woman, and she was gross. A lot of the line leader women were gross. They didn't wear bras. They were burnout bar chicks. Beer 30 would come, 3:30. We done with our shift. They go straight to the bars. They'd buy mobile homes in Prescott Valley because they were cheap, affordable homes, and they hated their job and they'd yell and scream and angry all day. And I thought, boy, I really got exposed to the wonderful women in our society in the workaday world. And I would go back to warehouse and I'd be bringing the carts down and the shippers would go into the department where all the stock windows were stored in rows. And this one guy'd stick his foot out and attempt to trip me. And I finally went to Rhino and I said, look, I hate to bother you. There's a Native American guy and I have done nothing to him. And he sticks his foot out. And Rhino, he was bald-headed, big face. He was the kind of a guy you don't mess with him. And he leaned back in his chair and he looked very angrily. He says, you know why he's doing that? He said, because you work hard. He said, if I could get half the work out of my shipping crew that you put out in a day, Michael, I'd get stuff done. He said, I'll address that son of a bitch. And if you have a problem, you let me know. I'm going to tell him, you better knock it off or you and I are going to have a problem. I said, thank you. I don't mean to tell him. He says, no, I'm going to put up with that harassment. He said, I've watched you. People talk about you. He says, you are a damn good worker. You bust your butt in here all day. He says, and you see all those guys are bigger, 3 times your size, and I can't get the volume of work out of them that you put out in a day. And I learned very early on, when you work hard, men don't like it when they're slackers. And in the Black community, no exceptions. A lot of laziness down here, a lot of milking the clock, fucking around, BSing. Somebody pulls up, "Hey!" Talkity talk. And I get on something. Said, "Hey, I got to get this stuff done." And it's a struggle down here, because when you are not just like them, first strike against me is I'm not Black. But the second strike is everything I do, they're not doing. People are finally coming to terms with employees that I work with have been over to the house here and are absolutely shocked. "Man, I didn't know you knew how to do all this." I said, "I know, because everybody judges a book by the long hair and the chain, and they make their little, 'Are you in a band, man? Are you a surfer, man?' No, I'm deeper than both of those." And this is why I do what I do. If I want to wear my shirt off the shoulder or wear 29 Mardi Gras chains or beads or be flamboyant, I will. Does it bother me when people make comments? Yeah, sometimes, but then I just turn around and say, "You know what? There was a Black lady I worked with. She's overweight. She doesn't follow company rules most of the time. And she made a comment one day saying, 'You're a nerd.' I said, 'No, ma'am.' 'You're a nerd.' I said, 'No, ma'am, and don't call me that.'" Now, everybody remember, anybody been through your meetings with HR that they have with employees from time to time about appropriate behavior in the workplace? If somebody comes up to you and says, "Please don't say or do this, that's offensive to me," they're firing a warning shot across your bow. You need to stop the behavior. Because if they do it again, you can go to HR and they're going to get in trouble. And she did it a second time, and a third time I said, "I'm going to tell you one more time, ma'am, do not call me that. That is offensive. Number one, I'm not a nerd. They're billionaires. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. Number two, don't put me in your little box of whatever it is, because I'm not what you think. I work better than you. I follow the rules better than you. I get along with people better than you. You get along with all the trashy employees, the trashy coworkers. You yuck it up with people who cheat the system, don't follow company rules. And can I just say this? Why is this normal across America? The usual suspects, the 13% of the US population, just seems to be a hallmark with them. And I'm watching it play out. I can walk into a room where everybody's in there yucking it up. I'm not part of all that. They got to wave and honk at each other all day like they're on parade. You get up and I go to work and I go with the intent. And why do men feel threatened because I work harder than them? I'm not in a position where I'm going to gain significant leadership over them or a greater pay rate. I just believe in giving your employer 110%. As a Christian, our work ethic should be better than those of the world. Should it not? Our work ethic should be better. And it's amazing what people do when they're guilty of not doing what they're supposed to do. They'll attack you. And another fault with America that's a big, big fault, and I really see it here. You hear the term snitches get stitches. I turned around one day, I said, "Why is that? If you're doing something wrong and somebody tattles on you, if you just simply do what you're supposed to do, you don't have to worry about snitches, do you? Why is it that our society, our whole American society has turned everything around where snitches are the bad guys, not the lawless idiot or the person not following safety protocol? How do we get there? And I'm proud to not be like everybody else. These dang women get away with stuff in every workplace I've worked at. They can be rude, they can be bitchy, they can be snotty, they can be oblivious to the fact I'm busting my butt while they sit in an air-conditioned office all day with their $300 hair job and they're still ghetto. And they think they're Queen Latifah, or Latufa. And I've tried to be racially and culturally sensitive, but part of me is finally taking a hike on that. And in my own quiet way, I'm posturing my body language in a way with some of these people where there's a proverbial middle finger in front of my face to some of them, like, don't talk to me unless it has to do with work. Not part of your clique, not part of your club. And I'm very proud of that fact. There is a problem in Black culture, and it needs to be addressed. It needs to be shouted from the rooftops. And it's not just the obvious things like the criminal aspect, but you got Black Christians. The guy would not be comfortable working with me. I asked him, I said, hey, I applied for the position. Would you? I'm like, oh boy, he can't answer that. No, because he already knows this guy gets a lot of work done and it's going to make me look bad. No, I don't want him in here. What's funny is if I'm working in a position and they're going to send me somebody to help me, and I got a guy younger than me that can do it, and he's doing a good job, I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm so glad you're in here. Men and their petty, dumb jealousy, Christian ministers, people, this is wrong. That a minister fails to realize that God has given me a gift and I'm using my gift, and you got a problem with that. If you want to be lazy and waste company time, you got to answer to God for that, not me. But I noticed that the management just doesn't seem to police those people. They'll police me. And I'm not a slacker. I'm not stealing overtime and doing stuff. In fact, I don't get paid enough where I currently work for the work I do. I do not. And most of these people I work with get paid too much to do too little. But when you realize that God, as a Christian, is your father and your boss, and you just say, yeah, God, I don't like what's going on here, but I do this because you made me this way. God is your reward. God is your reward. I'll never forget that. David said, I was young and now I'm old, and I've never seen the righteous forsaken or his descendants begging for bread. We got to stop worrying about the world around us. And, they're angling to get ahead, to step up, to compete, to get those jobs so they can trample people, to get a name for themselves, to climb the corporate ladder. God is not interested in Christians being involved in that. The Bible is very clear about us. We're not supposed to be lording it over people. We're supposed to be humble servants of the Most High, and our deeds should put to shame the decaying world around us. And it does. I have my problems. I'm not perfect. I haven't arrived in my Christian walk, not at all. But there's still some things in my life that shine and like a powerful searchlight over and against some of the darkness I'm around. And I needed to say this. We do not need to conform to this world, including immature or cultural Christians that are stuck in their Black culture and have a funny way of interpreting the Bible. Part of being a Christian is this mushy, toxic Christianity that evangelicalism has promoted for years. We want to show the love of Jesus. We don't want to argue. We don't want to be offensive. Can I direct you to scriptures? Paul talks about something pretty profound. We're supposed to be the fragrance of Christ. And those who the Spirit is working on and leading them, we're the aroma of life. But to those who are perishing and reject, we're the aroma of death. Just my presence as a Christian who's flawed and imperfect, but my work ethic and my trying to do what God wants me to do is going to be offensive to shallow, immature Christians, to Black culture, to white culture, to Hispanic or Asian culture if they're in darkness. Just my presence, just my way. You turn on a light in an old apartment building and the cockroaches go running. Okay? But in this case, we're living in a day and age where you, as the light, show up in a dark place, you could have some aggression directed at you. You tell the truth. You have aggression directed at you. Look at the debates the other night. Did you see the clowns? Did you see Bill Clinton praising Obama or praising Biden? Biden, it's funny because everybody thinks that the Democrats are waking up. No, they're not. The Democrats are never waking up. They know what Joe Biden's all about. And they were saying that, 7 days, they put him at Camp David, gave him the questions. They handed him his little bowl of cereal, a little toy surprise, and said, okay, here you go, Joey. Eat your life cereal, and we'll get you ready for this. And Joe Biden, you want to talk about a woman? I would love to say this to Joe Biden. You talk about a plastic face. She's so shellacked with makeup, fake dyed blonde hair, the whole kit and caboodle. And she talks to her own husband with child-directed speech. You did good, Joe. You answered every question. Okay, teacher. That's great for kindergarten, but your husband on national TV? How about when Joe was squatting down in front of dignitaries and pooping his pants, and Jill's standing there and she goes, Jill, that wasn't the time to put your hand to your mouth. That's the time to maintain composure. And you run up on the stage to help your hubby off and treat him like a little kid. You think that I and the rest of the country and Putin and others didn't see that? You think Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un and Russia and Putin aren't watching that going, this is their leader? But guess what? In my workplace, they promote people, Black women that are overweight, spend more time worrying about their hair and nails. They're not good employees. They favor their own skin color. They didn't get the job with any experience in that field, but because another Black woman liked them. It's funny when you see EOA or EOE, excuse me, equal opportunity employer. That's a lie in this country. Oh, yes, I got equal opportunity, but not really. Do you think I would ever be called into the offices? They're content with me being a peasant. They wouldn't want me in the offices. And I was going to say this in a video before. The corporate mindset, the office mindset, it is a whole different way than most of the rest of us that are living in the raw. Number one, you have to have no compassion and care for people except your buddies. What management is looking for is, do you have the power to throw everybody under the bus, even your best friends? That's the kind of people they want in management. And that's not a business model anybody should live for. When you are in leadership, even if you have friends, but your friends aren't following company rules, you say, I don't care for our friends. That has nothing to do with what I have to address right now. Right now, I'm over you, and you're not doing this right, and you need to correct it. I'm giving you a verbal. The next time I'll write you up and put it in your file. I have personally watched too many Black women get 1 inch of power and wear it all over their sleeve, which is further proof of what the Bible says. I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over men. They don't generally do a good job. They're not supposed to be over men. Look at the way they handle a simple little thing. Do they handle it professionally and with care and compassion? Did the woman bother to see sweat dripping off my head, my hair wet, my shirt wet, and go, man, that guy's working his butt off? No. And I almost turned around and said, you know, the way you approached that was shitty. And if you saw what I was doing down there, you know, you're standing here in your air conditioned comfort all day and bullshitting. And you know what? Fuck you, lady. Fuck you. But you can't say that because guess what? Unemployment line. It has been a challenge living down here. Black culture overall, their thinking is really off the wall. It is not right. They were saying DeKalb County in Atlanta is going to go full Democrat, the black community down there. And I said, of course, stick your head up your butt cheeks and do it again. You cannot reason with this community. They'll not recognize any strengths that I have, especially if it doesn't make them look good. But they'll praise Tupac, they'll praise Snoop Dogg, they'll praise Obama, they'll praise other people who are, oh, he's such a good man, he's such a hard worker. By whose definition? I'm not seeing that. And that is why I say black people and white people don't think the same, because I come in there and I'm like, man, I see all kinds of problems. And people say, well, that's because you look for them. I look for them. They show up in my face. That's all I can see. Discrimination, favoritism, putting people in higher up positions who did not earn it by merit at all. In the last 5 years of my life here, I have never seen such crazy stuff ever in my life. And I complained about stuff in Colorado. That stuff was pre-K compared to this. And when you go through all this, it dawns on me that God is trying to refine us. And I'm not very refined. The other day I was working with said minister and I said, pardon my French, but I said, this shit is all messed up. Now, that ain't French. That's just cussing. I said, yeah, I'm sorry. I said, I'm human. God's not done with me yet. And I try to be sensitive to people. But I'm not going to play some religious game to impress somebody. Tell you what, if you don't want to hear me talk a certain way, we got 3 projects. You work on that one, I work on this one, and the other guy works on that one, and then everybody's in their own little world. And if I need to utter an expletive because I'm struggling with this project, then so what? I'm doing my job. And I'm doing way more than all you clowns. I have to say this. Am I bragging? Am I tooting my horn? No, it's just amazing how low the bar is here. And I get so tired of this black stuck on the racial thing. And it's like, well, I, as a white guy, as a conservative, work harder than you, have more honesty and ethics. None of you are working on your house like me. Shoot, half your homes are a mess with mice, rats, cockroaches. You got to move them out of the way to sit down on a chair. Yes, I've seen that. There's some people's houses here. I will not go in there. The minute they open the door, there's an overwhelming smell of, I don't know what, but it ain't food and it ain't good stuff. And I ask over and over, what was God's purpose in me coming down here? To become a man? To learn to face your fears? Yeah, I've had fears about the black community. I absolutely have. I've seen what they do. But when you start standing on truth, when you see the hullabaloo that goes on down here, you start to get bold. You start to get street smart and go, you know what? You're going to come up and get in my lane. I'm going to say something. I don't care if you're big, black, and got a gun. I'm not going to live under that. My life is in the hands of the Almighty, not yours. And I don't believe in poking the bear and keeping something going, but Georgia has a stand your ground law, and you as Christians need to stand your ground and stop wilting in fear. You don't be obnoxious. You don't poke the bear and, accelerate something into violence. But somebody wrongs you, you got every right to say, hey, you know what? Stop telling me to slow down. I don't work at your speed. You want to work at your speed, let me work at mine. And if you've got a problem with that, go to management and talk to them about it. And they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. And I could turn that around and say, maybe you got to step up your game then. Do not allow this world, this culture, this Americana squeeze you into its mold. Be who you are, even if it's obtuse to the rest of the world. And let me tell you why. When you got groups of people rioting and busting and vandalizing stuff and overturning cop cars and have no shame, why are you who believe and live in the truth ashamed? Help me understand that. Those of us that believe in the truth and don't do those things should stop living in fear. That's why this country's in the mess it's in. The Republicans are not doing anything to stop this. They're not doing a damn thing. They've let the Democrats be bullies and lie and dominate the media and dominate the schools with no pushback. I get on these sites with these idiots saying, oh, this is 27,000 years old. I said, that's false. The earth isn't even that old. How's that? Somebody posted that the water on the earth is older than the sun, but the sun is younger than the earth. Is that what it says in Genesis? That's where science needs to start, not on atheistic presuppositions. Dumb. And I love it how somebody the other day said, just because you're stupid and don't understand, I said, calling me stupid when I believe the truth is laughable. When you have a faith-based religion based on atheism that says there is no God, and you're going to tell me evolution exists, and you're going to say in the same circular argument, there are no transitional life forms in the fossil record. You have yet to show me one. There's no transitional life forms in the living record. I don't have the hair all over my ears and a monkey's tail. And why are there still monkeys, to quote Pyramid Head, who did his videos back in the day? Why are there still monkeys? Evolutionists can't answer that because it just conveniently stopped. And if evolution is true, if survival of the fittest is true, why is this world in a state of turmoil? Why is crime escalating? Why are bad manners going up? Yeah, we're evolving and getting better, huh? Mankind is spiraling down, folks. The second law of thermodynamics, which is a scientific truth and reality based in what God has said, in the day that you eat of that fruit, thou shalt surely die. The law of entropy, death, decay, disease, the magnetic poles weakening, the earth is slowing down its rotation. There's all kinds of things happening, boo-boo. Let's help ourselves to an evolutionary picnic basket. I don't know about that, Yogi. That evolution is not just, and I'm so sick of patsy, Christian, cheesy poof ministers. Well, you know, we take issue with evolution. We don't believe in that, but and they try to be nice. I'm not going to be nice. You're liars and you believe a lie. Do we go up to a child when he lies about something and say, well, you know, lying isn't a good thing? No, you drop his pants and give him a spanking. Of course, today you can't. You go to court for that now, or jail for child abuse, for disciplining your child. And that's why these kids are so bad, because you can't discipline them anymore. Yeah, the world is dumb, folks, and it's perishing all around us. The corporate world is screwing the pooch, screwing you out of your money. Notice any place. I don't care if it's a company that puts up siding or windows. I don't care if it's a call center for Comcast, whatever. They go, it gives you, you can get a hold of somebody within minutes and hook up service. Anything that involves you spending money on their company, the minute you have a problem with that company, we're sorry. We know your call is really important to us, but due to it on a usually high volume, because our product's so shitty and people are calling off the chain because their internet's no longer working and they're getting billed for something they didn't pay for, we're going to have to, get to in the next order received. And But meanwhile, we could address simple problems. Are you willing to go online? No. Well, can we send you the link? No. Are you sure you don't want to send you the link? No. Are you really willing? If you ask me one more time, I'm going to put my fist through the phone and find that automated system and jack it up. Corporate America, and I'm going to say this, and people get mad. Ugh! This is what they come up with. You ever seen the instructions on putting together a bicycle or a lawnmower or something you buy, or the IKEA stuff? How many times you read directions that said, take the monkey key? What is a monkey key? And you look at the parts list. There's nothing that shows a monkey key. There's nuts and bolts. And what's the monkey key? Stupid. Some corporate spacky in a suit came up with his. I swear these people in corporate suits and ties do this to fuck with us. I'm going to say it again. Professionals are a cult. Corporate mentality is a cult. You have no spine. You're nasty. You will sell out for profit. You will bury people for profit. You have no heart and soul. And I don't care if you're the owner of Chick-fil-A or Hobby Lobby. I'm a Christian and I'm filthy rich because I honor Jesus. It's disgusting. I know a lot of people that honor Jesus way more than these corporate clowns do, and they'll never be rich. And is it because they're losers? God did not promise us a rose garden, but you got people teaching that. Why do we defend businesses? The bottom line of business is to make money. That's it. We can defend the integrity of somebody. We could say this guy has good business practices and he treats his customers well. I have no problem with that. But I really have a distaste in my mouth, a vomit bile inducing reaction. Oh, well, the Hobby Lobby owner's a Christian. What does that mean anymore? He's just going to Christianly screw the pooch and get more money out of you. Whee! I swear, there's so many Christians in America that hide behind religion while they're just worshiping materialistic gods. And I'm sick of it. Anybody remember that stupid book years ago called The Prayer of Jabez? I mean, we're talking a teeny itty bitty little. What is this? Hey Siri, what is the scripture, the prayer of Jabez?
Okay, I found this on the web for what is the scripture, the prayer of Jabez.
Okay, thank you. Your voice is irritating. Let's see what we got. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, oh, that thou wouldst bless me indeed and enlarge my borders, and that thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldst keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. Did you know a whole movement was started off of that simple prayer? And you know what Americans keyed in on? The first part of it. Oh, that thou wouldst bless me indeed and enlarge my borders, Lear jets, islands, and every luxury. We're living on Gilligan's Island with an expensive condo and a plasma TV. Christians are not always the go-to man in our culture, folks. I have been to Calvary Chapel with the cult few. I have been to church after church that has an esoteric, well, I just want to get closer to Jesus. And they strum on their acoustic guitar and they almost just seem to be holdouts from the hippie days and stoned on something. And yeah, Is that what it's all about? You put your left foot in, you put your left foot out, and you do the hokey pokey and you say Jesus and shout it out. What is it? My point is there are Christians that have judged me and will judge me and tell me, you know, no, I don't know, honey. And Christians become like Michelin or Firestone or Sears or Kmart. It's become a brand, not an organism. I challenge Christians to look at the disciples that Jesus chose, and they were flawed. Peter still kept making mistakes, and God never gave up on him. And Christians today, they've got this idea that you're supposed to be perfect. And now, what is that defined by? It depends. You get a bunch of Christian Caucasian women. Well, they're going to tell me I need to lose the hair, dress a certain way, and I need to talk in hushed, reverent tones and be just like them. Hey, women, factoid, I'm a man. I'm not going to be just like you. I don't have a vagina and I don't want a pussy. Okay, I don't. And people get angry at what I say. Erica, aka Gypsy, said, "You don't. I'm more spiritual. I follow the teaching of Paul more than you do." Oh, sending me pictures with no shirt on to show how long your hair was. Yeah, Paul did that too. He got on plenty of Sharks and or Craigslist and hey, you want to see how big my muscles are? I'm a Christian. No, don't bring Paul into this, lady. You are off the chain. And then you spent a year attacking me. I'm supposed to be your brother, right? You got mad because I called you out with your capitals and your yelling speech and your emails. And I had stated I'm looking for an ebony. You were white, and I gave you chance. And I said, well, here's my phone number. You had the opportunity to block your call. Your phone's able to do that and give me a voice to you. And let's meet for dinner at this place. But instead, you began a year-long drama and saga of your temper tantrum and your silly behavior, saying what a good husband you had that was in Iraq and how awesome you are, how perfect you are, while you're harassing me. And now you're saying I'm a geek and I'm a nerd and I'm ugly. Why'd you come after me then? Women cannot handle a man standing up and firing back at them with the truth. Don't believe me? I'm an example. They don't like to be told the truth. They can run their vaginas all day long about us. They won't listen to Better Bachelor. They won't listen to White Pigeon. They won't listen to MGTOW. They won't listen to me. Women are going to go to the watering hole that makes them feel good, not objective truth. And when they go to church, they will listen to a minister who is a simp. He will never convict or make uncomfortable the ladies. That is in the warp and woof of evangelicalism. And that's why women are still shitheads out there to society, Christian or not. And I'm not talking out of my butt. And I'm not talking that every woman is like this. I don't look like what other Christians think a Christian ought to look like, and I don't care. The Bible says that he who began a good work in you will carry it, bring it to completion. Excuse me. Oh, no. You go to evangelical churches, you go to Paul Washer, you go to these people, they're going to guilt you. If you're a Christian, you shouldn't be sinning at all. Okay, let's see how you're doing. I'm not even going to worry about mine. I know I sin. Let's see what you're doing. Let me live in your house for a week. Let me see what you're not doing. Most Caucasian Christian women are a joke. And their Christianity's fit for the trash can. And they want to judge Michael because I say things. I have some dross that bubbles up in me. See, I allow people the right to be imperfect, but I don't allow women the right to be imperfect because they've judged and condemned us men so much, they act like they never sin. So I find their faults and I dangle them out there like a dog with a bone saying, look at this. You taught me, women. When you project, expect feedback. And you don't like me, you will not be around a guy like me because you're going to surround yourself with morons that tell you what you want to hear. That's fine. You don't have a right to judge me because I can tell you that I have my problems. I will stand before God and there will be some F's on my report card. There's going to be a lot of F's, baby. But you don't see it. Because women in our society get up every morning because they got a pair of nipples and think, I'm goddess, Christian or not. So when Michael decides to be Michael, I will elicit and evoke all kinds of criticism, all kinds of smart ass comments, hate. It's not the 80s. You might want to change your hairstyle. I'm not African American. You might want to change your wig and your weave. $300 for that hair job and you're still this big. Boat coming through. You want to criticize me? I'm going to nail you with the truth. I love when black women judge me. That race right there has the least right to say anything about this white boy ever. I said it. You use the N-word. You listen to shitty music. You encourage obesity, gluttony, not paying your bills, getting your cars repoed. Your houses are filthy, messy. Your kids are absolutely off the wall. And you're going to judge me? Hypocrisy! Shut up, black community. You're not qualified. But let's go to the Caucasian women. You're not qualified. You're bitches. You're materialistic. You're narcissistic. You walk into a room and just your whole entire affect is, I'm a goddess. Don't talk to me. You're not worthy of me. Fuck you. Fuck you. But I'll tell you something. I never thought I'd say this. I'd rather live around the black community of women than the white community of women any fucking day. White women are irritating as hell, and they will get you to lose your job. They fuck with you. At least I can look at a black woman and say, you look nice today, man. And they don't get offended by that. Go compliment a white woman, you're going to lose your job. Unless you're the cash register she's looking for. White women got to argue. They can't back up. They can't assess themselves. Honestly, their assessment of themselves is, you can't handle a beautiful, confident woman. You're not beautiful. You're an idiot. Or smart, educated. You're not educated. You've been brainwashed into the secular college system, and you're going to tell me you got a degree in what? BS? Aha! That's why it says BS degree. Gotcha. You're right. MS. Oh, you missed the mark? Okay, gotcha. College today is way overrated, and you see the way college people behave in their cars. Let's start right there. Let's unpack these people with degrees. Alumni, Harvard. Let's see how you drive your car, if you could pass that. You can fool people of who you are until they see how you drive your car. I don't care if you got degrees. I don't care how big your bank account is. If you can't drive your car properly, you're a fucking moron. And this is why people hate me, because I poke right there. I find that weak nerve in a woman and a man, and they go, ooh, I hate this guy. Hate the messenger. Hate the messenger. That's the way it goes in America. Anybody stands up for the truth. Oh, he's racist. He's bad. We got to shut him up. Throw him in a well, just like you did Jeremiah. But that's okay. Throw me in that well, and you're still going to hear, yep, you're still wrong. And a bucket of water goes, missed me. Try it again. Missed again. Don't shut up because society tells you to silence yourself. Don't slow down your work ethic because ministers and black people are lazy and they got more muscle tone than me and want to tell me. You be yourself and it makes them look bad. That problem is their problem, not yours. I'm not kissing butt. I'm honoring God with the gifts he's endowed me with. And if a minister or another person has a problem with it, boy, they better get into their little holy corner somewhere and deal with it. A minister brother of a man should be looking at me saying, you know what? I really appreciate you coming in and tearing into this job the way you do. You're really helping me out. Thanks for saying that. You made my day. I needed that. And I'm not here to compete against some black man or a white man or a white woman. I'm here to do the best I can to make a difference. I'm not here to kiss up, suck up, brown nose. I don't want to be in those offices with them people. And I call them people anywhere in America. I don't want to be up there in the corporate ranks. I wish I was rich enough to start my own corporation because I'd shatter the business model. I'd walk in with my chain, cut sweatshirts off the shoulder. At ease, everybody. Good morning. They would be shocked. And I would look at all of America with all their suits and ties and bullshit posturing and pomp and circumstance. Those people are the ones fucking this country over more than us that don't know how to dress for success. Let me make that very crystal clear. So fuck corporate America, fuck the college educated. They're the assholes out there. They're the ones that drive and run through school bus stop signs. Don't get caught up in that crap. You can't drive your car properly. You can't obey traffic laws, and you're at the head of a Fortune 500 company. You're an asshole. You know, you're going to go to your grave, and there's going to be a bunch of dumb people show up at your funeral saying, he was such a good man. No, you're not. You're going to hell. Greased pole, baby. Pig grease all over it just for you. That's what I want to yell down the pole and say, how you doing today? Are you doing well? What's that smell? Burning for all eternity? People don't like what I say. But it's a fitting end for those arrogant, God-denying fools that put money over people. Most people in America don't live on principle. They compartmentalize their life. And they boast in their degree, their car, their house, their bank account, their cruises, their travel portfolio, their investment portfolio, but their character, their compassion, their actual care for other fellow men and women ain't there. America is a rude ass place with a lot of shitty people in it. And I've traveled this country far and wide, and I'm telling you, most Americans suck. And I'm going to wave my flag and say we're making America great. My ass. We got too many assholes in this country, both in the conservative camp, in the Christian camp, and in the Democrat camp. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Pacific doesn't have to think like everybody else. Pacific doesn't have to submit to some standard. The only standard I got to submit to is following the rules of the road, paying my taxes, and in the workplace. But as far as my independent thought, I'll shatter everybody's little stereotype right now. And I'm not apologize for that. Be an individual. I'm honest. I'm real. How many men do you meet are as honest as this? How many? How many women do you meet that have a YouTube channel styled after mine, brutally honest about their own bullshit? You won't see it out here at all. I don't care what anybody says. Have I been successful? Have I been a failure? Yes to both. I started a channel that nobody, not Better Bachelor, not anybody has done. I'm not attacking Bachelor, but they're not going to talk like I talk. I'm sure Better Bachelor would watch one of my videos. I could see him going, oh my God. I'm sure that would be his response. I like Better Bachelor stuff, but I can guarantee you he would not go for my style. People are all about polish and the background dinner music, and that gets more views. I'm after keeping it real, and real people land on here, not shoe polish. I would never make it in politics. I'd never make it in management because I refuse to play the game. I'm not going to walk in and have a bunch of ladies say, good morning, Mr. Mike. Hey, can you stop talking to me like I'm a child, please? Let's dispense with that. Did you listen to HR? That's offensive to me. Stop calling me Mr. Mike. Oh my gosh, he's really got a... No, I don't got a problem. Do you want me to call you Miss Butch? Miss Piggy? Do you want me to call you what I think you really are? No, I'd be in trouble, so don't call me Mr. Mike. Use the same tactics these fools in the world do. We got a woman that got into a position with no experience whatsoever. The power's gone to her head. She needs a diet. She's not sexy. She's not pretty. But because she's black and because black people, a lot of them have poor or no taste, all the guys think she's hot. I'm like, ugh. Vomit on a plate looks good to some of these people, not me. And it's gone to her head, and she's rude and she's loud and she's offensive, and she wants to play that game when she's been mean to me and ignored me. And then when I don't see her, hey, Mr. Nelson, hey, I do body language too. Hey, and they're going to be warm. Oh, good. I'm not doing that. I'm not a Jill Biden. You did a good job in it. You're a bitch. It's funny. Nobody was offended at that Hall & Oates song. You're a bitch, girl. And it don't matter anyway. You can rely on the old man's money. The same woman told me. Did you say you keep your thermostat at 68 in the winter? I said, oh, hell no. I got mine at 70. I said, boy, your power bill must be, it was about $400. I said, oh, that's nice. Well, my husband has a good job. I said, oh, so he gets to take it in the shorts. You're lucky I'm not your husband. I say, touch that thermostat again, I'm going to break your fucking hand. Or your paycheck's going to pay for it. Did you hear what Pacific just said? He'd break a woman's hand. Oh, there you go. Run off with hyperbole. See, women can say whatever they want and nothing happens to them. I would not break a woman's hand, but I wouldn't marry or have a woman in my house that's going to be playing with my thermostat and my bill. Boom. Men need to be the head of their house. You cold? Put on more clothes. Maybe you ought to get off the chair and do some more exercise. You sit and eat all day. Yeah, you'd be cold. Women don't like truth. And I want to know why women think it's okay for them to say what they call the truth, which isn't. They slam and defame and attack us vitriolically. And when men stand up and react, we got anger management. We've been diagnosed with a list of psychological disorders by women that are not certifiably clinically experts. You notice how airtight women are. They can say and do anything, and they don't have any conviction. Anything I say, they're not going to be like, oh, gosh, he just got me. They go, oh, my gosh, listen to this guy. Okay, lamb chops. Look at Barney, the dinosaur. Let's use an analogy. I was told that was invented by some housewife. We all need to learn to get along. Most kids call that TV show gay. Little kids back in the 90s. And when I drove the bus in Duluth, I would get on there and say, okay, kids, we all need to sit down. Mike, you're scaring me. That's creepy. I hate Barney. 5-year-old, 6-year-old kids saying that. That's an example of fake TV. You know what I liked about Mr. Rogers? Everybody called him a faggot, and he wasn't. He loved his wife. Those sweaters he took off, his mother lovingly made for him. And that guy was solid muscle. And he ran a TV show without any scandal all the years of his life, didn't molest and pet and breathe on and sniff little kids like Joe Biden did. And, the most well-adjusted man in American society was out there on a shingle every day was Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers. Let that sink in. But what does our society honor? LeBron James, sweaty, hairy, greasy, black armpits, and I can play basketball. And everybody's racist. All the whites are racist. Oh, okay, LeBron, you live in a white gated community with tons of police protection. Okay, yeah, hypocrisy. They're not going to listen to me. They're not going to tune into this. They live in a world that spins out of control with their heady bullshit. And you look at Mr. Rogers, he died and he passed away, and the world mourned him like they did Michael Jackson. No. Virtually nobody cared. See, nobody cares about people that actually made a damn difference, do they? Michael Jackson died. It's the end of the world. Yeah, sleeping with a 12-year-old boy. Oh, people hate it when I say these things. They get so mad at me. Michael, you got to use social grace. No, I don't. This world ain't using it. This society, women aren't using it. Biden is using it. I can do more push-ups than Trump. Fuck, you couldn't even climb off the stage without your wife treating you like a toddler. Okay. Embarrassing, summa cum laude. I tell you what, if I was Putin, I'd be going, ha! If I was Putin, I'd be looking at that going, this would be the best time to fuck up things. Let's send an ICBM over there and see how old Joe handles it. Kamala Harris, CNN. Listen to Rachel Maddow. She looks like a bull a dyke, Lesbian. She is not a pretty woman. She's ugly, fugly. And she's a liberal, which is even more fuglier. And she is dumb. Trump did really well the last part of his voice was so strong. Laws never did give nothing to the Tin Man because he didn't have a can of oil. Am I making fun of somebody? You damn right. Have you heard what Biden and AOC and those Democrats have said about us for years? You see, what goes around comes around. And you guys set yourself up for full verbal attack. You have criticized us. You put us down. Us conservatives aren't the ones fucking up the country. You Democrats, you college degree professionals are, and you corporate idiots that are in bed with the Democrats, Zuckerberg, and the money, the trillions of dollars that these clowns make are not Republicans. That lie that rich Republican, rich? I don't know any Republican that's a billionaire. I have a fan who's been faithful. He works at a Walmart, Michigan. He was a greeter, and now he has to clean disgusting Walmart toilets. And unfortunately, he's under white and black women that are shitty to him. And I'm going to say it again. White women are nasty. If they don't like you, it doesn't matter how well you work, how hard you work. They will fuck with you. They'll be rude to you. They'll be demeaning to you. They will not promote you. They will not help you get ahead because they don't care about a man's heart. And this guy has written me about the stuff. And what bothers me about that is that women get away with excessive harassment, abuse, cock blocking males who are good workers because they're in charge, because they don't want to see a man succeed. EOE is not true in this country no more. God can promote us over and against all these fools out there. But unfortunately, because of sin, we're subject to this as well. But don't ever think that these foolish feminist women and these foolish people that I work with that want to be lazy and screw the pooch, milk the clock, and cheat the company out of an honest day's work, God is not up there in heaven saying, oh, Mike can't get ahead because of all this corruption. God, if he wants to, can pluck me right out of there and say, you know, there's people in the nautical industry that can say, you know, I've heard of your love for ships. I've seen your channel. I know somebody and I could get you a job on a freighter doing something easy. If that's where God wanted me, he could make it happen. If God wanted me in a foreign country, he could make it happen. But what I've seen is God wants me to get down in the trench and become a man and stand up and face my fears and stand up and face this world with all their rhetoric and blowhard bullshit. God wanted me to face this wreck of a house And he wanted Michael Nelson to pull up his b-boy pants and say, I can't do this, God, but you're going to show me how. And he has. And he will. And we're getting there. Do not conform to the patterns of this world. Do not conform to the culture anywhere. That old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Put on the brakes on that. If it compromises your individuality and your relationship with God, then don't do as the Romans do. Okay? If the man were to hear me cuss and say something, say, Mr. Sir, I appreciate and I try to be respectful in your presence. That's why I asked to work alone. God's not done with Michael yet, and there's a lot of dross floating up right now because I've got some issues. And you and all your talking and preaching ain't going to make it go away. If this bothers you, remove yourself from my immediate presence and let God work in you his way and let God work in Michael his way. Does anybody ever realize that? The modern church isn't teaching this today. You got big box, Walmart-sized churches with fluty, hair gelled, spiky hair preachers reinventing the Christian wheel, full of their ego, full of themselves in their little button-down shirts, and young ladies coming in there with their dogs and their lattes and kicking off their flip-flops and treating church like it's the beach. And then you got these churches that are only old people that aren't going to change the world. They're comfortable, they're scared of retirement, they're nice, comfy homes, and you're going to get some preacher trying to deal with that. But what the church doesn't teach today is when God is working on you, there's going to be a lot of ugly stuff that surfaces and floats up in your life. And all other Christians and non-Christians, what is going on with Michael? He's imploding. No. God's dropping the skyscraper. He's building a new creation. All that stuff that I built, all that crap in my heart, it's bubbling up because he's heating up my life. He puts me in situations to show me, God, I'm sorry, I'm angry. Some Christians like to play make-believe. Mr. Rogers liked to play make-believe, but he didn't play make-believe like that. You know what Mr. Rogers said that was more profound than what any preacher in a pulpit says? Mr. Rogers said to every child on his show, there's only one you. Did you hear that? There's only one Pacific. Many of you are going, thank God for that. I agree. Sometimes it takes one to poke the bear. Sometimes it takes one to light the spark. Sometimes it takes one to change the world. I may not get anybody. There could be a feminist who hates my guts somewhere that one day I'll get through and she'll go, you know what? I've hated on this guy, but he speaks the truth. When a woman in Sweden messaged me many years ago and said, I have watched your channel and you have given me such encouragement. I've got a baby and I've left corporate world and all my friends are making fun of me. But I'm going to raise my child the way God wants me to raise my child. And I wrote her back. I said, good for you and thank you for sharing that. God will bless you for that. People love to judge me on YouTube. Oh, he cussed. Oh, he was on he was on this site posting pictures of scantily clad women. Yep, love the pictures of women. You see, yes, the Bible says put away. Yes, the Bible says don't do this, don't do that. But the Bible also says he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. Doesn't sound like there's anything in there that talks about our cooperation with God. We can live in the flesh and we'll be judged for that, but he will still bring it to completion in heaven. Now, it'd be better if we cooperate with God. It'd be better if we yield to Him so that we can lay rewards and cast our crowns down at His feet. But look, John the disciple was the disciple whom Jesus loved. Did he not love the other disciples? No, John was boastful. John, even in his spiritualness and being close to Jesus, still wanted everybody to know how holy and spiritual he was. He even writes in his own gospel, the other disciple outran Jesus at the tomb. Oh, wow, that's deep. Instead of saying John beat Peter at the tomb, he said the other disciple. Bragging? Of course. Women love to judge us men. Oh, they masturbate, they look at porn, they do this, they do that. I want a godly man. Oh, I want a godly woman. I haven't met one to date. I haven't met a godly woman to date. I haven't met a godly woman to date in America. I haven't met a godly woman to date in America. I haven't met a godly woman to date in America. I met a lot of phony balonies that think that their Christianity mature. And I'm like, nope, you're a diapered saint. You got saved and you're still wet and shit in your pants and you're awful. And no man should marry you because you've gotten weight and you love your dog more than people and you like your cheesy, shitty Christian music and you drive your SUV like a BITCH and you want to tell me that you want a godly Christian man who doesn't masturbate. You don't deserve anybody, lady. And this is the problem in our society. Women define themselves by Starbucks, SUVs, and dogs, and flake version of Christianity, a mile wide and an inch deep. Go to flaky churches with flaky, hokey doodle pastors that gel their hair and go, yeah, God is just you're a mess. And anybody who attends those places, they're not after God. They're after showtime for the sheep. Bolt. I don't care what people think of me. I've cared too much. I am weird, I am strange, I am so very odd, as a lesbian woman in Duluth used to say. I'm odd, but you're dating another woman. How is that? She would have come up and say, why do you always wear black? I almost said, why do you always wear gay? I lived in a town called Virginia, Minnesota. One of the shittiest towns I've ever lived in. I'm so glad I will never darken the doors of that state, let alone that town. Iron Strange is what I called it. It's the Iron Range in northern Minnesota, 2.5-story tall dump trucks, front end loaders picking up iron ore to be turned into taconite pellets to be railroaded down to Duluth, 2 harbors to be shipped across the Great Lakes to U.S. steel foundries. And a lot of people in those small towns don't get out much. They've lived in their northern enclaves and the way they view the world, mostly Democrat and union mentality, spoiled brat boys, buy new pickups every 2 years. Kind of a dumb place to live. And I found out the hard way. I was in a shitty marriage. It was imploding around me, and I finally left it. And then my ex wife went on the defense to tell everybody I was having affairs when I wasn't. And if I had, I'd say it. I'm an honest person. I ain't going to varnish a damn thing except my kitchen cabinets or the furniture I'm refinishing, but I ain't going to varnish my life. And you tell people something in northern Minnesota and people came up to me seeing my truck with Colorado plates and they say, it gets very cold here. Yeah, I lived in Duluth for 5 years. Well, we even get colder than them. 10 degrees difference. Have you ever been around that? You tell somebody a story and, oh, I got one better than that. One-upsmanship. We know what brinksmanship is. Kim Jong-un used to do that. Brinksmanship. I could see him blinking his eye. Brinksmanship. I'm going to get you, U.S. Yeah, if your rocket will ever leave the ground. Why the chicken cross the road? Because North Korea's missiles couldn't reach that far, said a kid on a Denver school bus. I said, kid, that's funny. I'm going to have to pirate that one. Did you see the movie Constipated? I haven't either. It hasn't come out yet. A kid told me that too. The bottom line is there are places in the country that are stupid. The people are dumb. They only know the head of that little pin. And I've seen this with Black culture. I've seen it with Hispanic culture. I've seen it with white culture. I've seen it with small town culture where people, when they only know one thing, you got the cheerleader who was so cool in high school and she's working at Dairy Queen and she's this big and has a snarky attitude. Oh, you really succeeded. You went from cheerleader to pork queen at Dairy Queen. Okay. And now you're going to have an attitude. How's that working out for you, sweet lips? Females have judged me all my life, my glasses, my hair, the things I say, the way I dress, and I look better than 90% of the women that make the comments that they make about me. How does that work? At 58 years old, I look better naked than most of those women. How do women get so full of themselves, even when they're not even beautiful? How is that? Oh, yes. Kicker is the jocks with the big old beer guts. My friend Matt Coleman, he passed away a few years ago, sadly. He came to Spokane with his semi truck and a load of dog food and was waiting 2 days out to pick up another load. And he said, "Man, I've asked your cousin about you, told me where you were. I found you on Facebook. Man, I haven't seen you since you left an 83 Mammoth. You want to hang out?" Yeah, I went and picked him up. Matt was a big boy. He got in my truck and the truck went down on one side. And he looked at me and he said, we all made fun of your ass in school. Look at you. Muscular, fit. You get the last laugh, Michael. I said, "Thanks for the compliment." He says, "No, we were nasty to you. And you beat every one of us." What is winning and what is success? The guy that goes to college and gets the 6K income? I'm sorry, the 6-digit figure income or 7-digit. What is it? How about the parents I went through? How about the shit I went through? And I'm a homeowner and I've got a job and other things that I won't mention here that I've had to face my own demons, face my own fears. And I'm very outspoken about the black culture. And a lot of whites are scared shitless. And I've told people, when you're standing on the truth, you have no need to be afraid. No need to be afraid. And people will attack the fuck out of you. Grown men that want to play alpha. Oh, this coming from a guy who doesn't know how to dress. This coming from a guy who looks like he's stuck in the 80s. That's such an airtight argument, moron. Did you address what I was talking about? Or why are you judging a man's looks? Why? Why are you men? They did this the other day when I criticized Lil Wayne. And the blacks came at me. Some guy said, "Oh, I looked at your pictures." I said, "Grown man, why are you looking at my pictures? You should be looking at women." That's your argument for why I'm wrong? Well, let's deal with the content. My looks have nothing to do with the content. Typical Democrat, typical women, typical blacks, when they're losing on truth, they're going to attack you. And that's anybody. Not just blacks, anybody. There are people that will come after me on "Oh, I was looking at your photos and I've got some questions about you." Why do you got questions? Why are you looking at my pictures? You don't want to date me or not interested in me? Keep it moving. It's funny. Another thing I've noticed, all the people that are making rude comments have no picture on their Facebook. Isn't that fun? It's easy to spike at people when you don't put yourself out there. That's called the most chicken shit way to live on the internet. I don't have a picture and I'm going to judge the hell out of this guy. We got a lot of special stupids in this country. Internet keyboard warriors that look like shit. They can't do what I can do. Or they brag about their successful college. Who cares? That's not what my comment had to do with. It had to do with a post that you failed to deal with. So obviously, I gotcha. I hit the bullseye. You're offended. Who's the fuck up here? Me or you? You call me a loser. You call me stupid. Stupid because I don't believe in evolution. Stupid because when I see this site and they throw, well, this is approximately 30 million years old. Oh, and you just know that. We just throw a date at the wall. The earth wasn't even here 30 million years ago, clown. Oh, and I'm going to listen to you over scientists. Oh, and I'm going to listen to you who believes in a bunch of brainwashed people that are not scientists, but atheists in disguise. Okay. That usually shuts them up. That right there. Thank you for reminding me. Being content. The forever hamster wheel of looking for happiness in the future instead of joy in the journey. Being content with such things as you have. Do you notice that the corporate world does not work off of that principle? They show the guy driving the practical old car. You don't want to be seen in this. And it shows the one with the hand on the hips going, oh God, I wouldn't date him. Man, guy, grab your balls and don't date her. Drive your practical car and don't fall to that shit. Because you get on that treadmill, you might as well keep running. Now she wants a new kitchen for $100,000. Now she wants an SUV for herself. Say bye, Felicia. I had a guy in Tampa tell me about my red truck. Most people liked my red truck. He was one of those clowns that wanted to buy Elon Musk Cybertruck. I looked at him and said, you call that a truck, dude? Ford is a classic. And my truck got more looks because it was a square body Ford and it looked like a pickup. But Mike, what if this really big titted, beautiful Asian wanted to date you but said you got to get rid of that truck? I'd say bye. Nels, you would really do that? Yeah, I would. You know, my wife wouldn't date me if I pulled up in that. And I almost said, your wife has butch short hair, skinny as skinny, rides a bicycle, comes in smelling like, whoo, yuck. You didn't get a catch there, dude. And at that, any woman told me they're not going to ride in that truck, I'd say, well, have a good day. And I'll show some 302 powers I fishtail down the road. Bye. You go ahead and drive your little Prius. I am not going to change the core of who I am for a dumb broad. Nor should any man. Stop dating women that want to change you. Stop dating women that want to change you. Don't get involved with a woman who wants to change your clothes, change your hair, change your conduct. Stop it. And stop listening to these silly nitwit preachers that never convict and confront women and their narcissism, their materialism, and their absolute haughtiness and their judgmentalness. No preacher confronts the females in our churches in this country today. They don't do it. They're full of crap. They beat up on the men for lust. They beat up on the men for men's sins, but they don't talk about the women. Most of the churches you attend today, other than the older set of women, retired seniors, some of them are a little closer to living their faith. But this generation from me on down, they're baby infants in Christ. And they still think that everything revolves around them and getting their way. That's not Christian maturation, folks. This culture caters to narcissism and materialism. And it lets women get away. Even Christian men call their daughters princess, keeping the same entitlement shit going. If Christianity is really making a difference in this country, why are Christian women awful and just as bitchy and rude and narcissistic and cock blocking as those that aren't Christians? Come out for them and be separate. Maybe if women had a reason for men to get involved with them, maybe we'd stop all of our bad habits because now we feel like we've got somebody we can, not be alone with. Meaning it's not good for a man to be alone, but I'll tell you what, you date most of these women, you're still going to be alone. So don't run to try to satisfy your passions with some nitwit. Man, I had to learn the hard way again and again and again. I went to Hong Kong after Beth. That was a complete waste of time. She hasn't changed at all. She dressed up as a witch on her Facebook, and I put a laugh emoji. I actually found her, and she blocked me immediately. I hadn't written her or nothing, and I'm like, oh, that's funny. And she's doing Vimeo videos, horrible singing, where somebody's on the left doing the song, the actual artist, and it's almost like they're doing it live. No, he's pre-recorded and you got to follow along. All these wannabe idols with 3 views and somebody gives them a like. Oh, you're doing well. You're well on your way to making money off of that. Cannot. Life has had an interesting way of showing Pacific a few things. I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers. There's times I get very angry at God. There's times I get frustrated. Sometimes I don't believe God is good. Sometimes I think he's downright nasty in what he allows us to go through. But that's because of my fallen nature and my limited view of who he is. Now, how many Christian pastors are going to talk about that on Sunday morning? They like to crack little cutesy jokes for the seniors and too much of this stuff. At one time, I would have more people watching my channel than were attendees at a lot of the churches I went to. And that taught me something. You don't have to be a preacher, baby, to get a show going. And sometimes I've attracted even other Christians that have their struggles just like me. And they said, I'd rather listen to you, a preacher in a pulpit, any day. And I am not a cult leader. I'm not a cult thing. Oh, I've got my little cult here. Send me $10 and I'll send you a little cross pin. I'm not interested in that. I like to speak. I cannot lie. I like to talk about things and watch people fry by being convicted because they don't seem to be exposing themselves to the truth. When feminist American women went to college and think that they're enlightened, really? You are in bondage of the worst order. Black people say they're not slaves anymore. Oh, yes, they are. They never did get free. They're slaves to the Democrat left. They're slaves to black, darkened thinking. And when I say black, darkened thinking, wrong, lies, false information, and narrative. They're not free. They're not any more free than they were in the Emancipation Proclamation. They wear Juneteenth with an attitude. Oh, that's my holiday, my holiday. Blacks can't even get along with each other. I work with them. They're turning on each other constantly, shitting on each other, fucking on each other, cheating on their wives, cheating on their husbands. And then some of them laugh at me and say things about me. And somebody will come up and say, somebody told me you're a snitch. I said, who said it? Well, I'm not going to tell you. I said, then don't talk to me. If you got to protect somebody because of the color of their skin, you go back and tell them if they think I'm a snitch, they can come up and talk to me. I'll say, what is that in reference to? When I've had another employee that I cannot tell them, hey, you need to stop this, and they keep going over my boundaries, yeah, I'm going to go over them. Wouldn't you do the same as a black person? Oh, yeah, they're going to sue, man. Hypocrisy. See, it's not okay for a white man to snitch on a black person, but let a white man abuse black people or talk rude to them. They're going to be up there right now getting results. Come on. All Pacific has done is just in a very street way, in a very simple way, turn all this bullshit out there on its head. The Democrats are liars. They're thieves. You know, Hunter Biden's a joke. Now he's going to go to California to face gun charges. They're not done. There's a lot of charges that need to be brought against him with a guilty charge, and he needs to be locked up in a pen for life. It's funny. There was accusations he was having underage sex. Oh, that just glossed over. If you're a Democrat, you can have sex with underage girls. If you're anybody else, you'll be a registered sex offender. I'm not making this shit up. If you're a Democrat and you're Zuckerberg, you can have underage tweeny girls with tits and no bra going and the nipple slipping, and he doesn't censor it. But last night, there was a Fox video, Larry Kudlow, made a comment that Biden imploded on the debate. I copy and paste, put it in the Facebook. This is a violation of our community standards. You cannot post this. If you think this is an error, give us feedback. Oh, that's funny. You can't write a comment. You can't do anything. You just ask them to re-review it. Fuck you, Facebook. Fact check this. Do you know what this is? And you know what bothers me about Facebook? Why did they do that? So I found other videos, same thing on Fox News. I was able to post them. Facebook is a joke. The Democrats are a joke. They censor me. They censor truth. And you still had people after the worst presidential debate by a sitting president in the history of the United States go down in flames, take a bath all over himself with his mommy talking to him. Oh, I mean, his wife. You answered every question, Joe. If I was Putin, I'd be looking at that going, look at that shit. Let's go shoot a missile into Honolulu. Let's do something. Dumb, dangerous president. And the Democrats treat this like, and now they're all saying, oh, we got to do something. Oh, no, you got to do something. Oh, you see, you dumb people. You knew Joe was this way. Now you're going to make an example because now it's looking like you're not going to win. Now you got to do damage control, you nitwits. I hope that all the Democrats that don't get woke up enjoy hell for all eternity. Great place for them. You lived your life as a fatted calf. You heaped up riches in the last days. You taxed the hardworking people. You fucked with us. And you believe lies, and you taught children to hate whites. You taught blacks to hate whites. You taught blacks it's okay to burn down, tear up, vandalize, and shit all over society. And there you said a word. But you went on and 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 on about how dangerous January 6th was. And the Supreme Court the other day, yesterday, you know what they said? That Biden was out of line for all of that. You see, a president's wrong when two different presidents got rebuked several times in hearings by the Supreme Court. Barack Obama, who was another one who wanted to run amok on the Constitution, and Biden. If we get the Republicans back in there, we need to put an amendment to the Constitution that says no one under any circumstances is going to remove the checks and balances or stack the Supreme Court. Anybody who tries will be incarcerated in a prison, in a federal pen. We need to protect this Constitution and the college electoral and stuff. The Democrats hate losing. They're sore losers, and they want to be Adolf Hitler about it. Calling Trump Adolf. That is so projecting what they really are onto others. This debate was a joke. And Donald Trump, his facial expressions were just priceless. He's probably going, what the fuck? I really didn't understand what he said. I don't even know if he understands what he said. Joe looked medicated. One eye was half-masked. I looked at him. I thought, man, you just put a corpse out there. You had 7 days at Camp David to butter this guy up and get him looking in fine fashion. And he went down the shitter. CNN and MSNBC and Joy Reid, another quality black woman, not running your mouth about this. Y'all put him in there. Y'all are dumb. The other day, guy had a truck just like mine. He had an Obama sticker, and I got my Trump sticker on the back window. I finally just said, fuck this community. I'm going to wear that. And I really want to get the meme I saw. I wish I could get a blown up decal in the middle of my back window. shows the profile of Joe Biden, and in the brain, it's a dark silhouette of Joe Biden, and the check engine light comes on. I'd love to put that on the back window of my truck and watch this world around here go, oh my gosh. It takes balls to be a white guy in a mostly black community and put a Trump sticker. I'm like, somebody gonna break out my back window? So this guy goes all the way into the right lane in front of me, and then suddenly he used a signal, moves to the left, I yield, let him in, and then he goes to go to the liquor store. Doesn't get in the turn lane's got his ass hanging out. I thought, wow, look at these guys. They just do whatever they want, don't follow the rules, got his half his truck length. And I moved back into my lane, and I came about that close to his side because I wanted him to see my Trump sticker. And I came that close to his mirror because I know my distance, and made a statement like, can you move over? You're totally in my lane, dude. I didn't say anything or honk, but I made my own statement. It's like, it's so funny how you guys can do whatever the hell you want. Nobody's supposed to question it. Nobody's supposed to say anything. Uh-huh. My roommate and I were at Walmart one day, and a black woman had a 4-door small sedan, and she was parked right in front of my truck. She was sitting in the car. There was a car in front of her about 25 feet up. Somebody was waiting for a parking space. We were nowhere near the front of the store, and I don't know why people do that. They clog up the aisle. Man, there's all these parking spots right here. Women are dumb that way. They're going to tie up everything because they want a spot 5 feet closer to the store. So I backed up my truck, and I go to move around the woman. I still can't get around her because there's nobody next to me. And I tap the horn. And she looks at me, and I said, could you, I motioned, could you move up? I'm trying to get out. And this is what she does. Black women, all in control. So I'm like, I honked again. I said, can you move? Now she's going to do power struggle. She's got all this space, refuses to move. Let me say something as a white man. They shouldn't allow women to vote at all. And they definitely shouldn't let black people like that vote at all or have a driver's license. And that goes for white women. Get the fuck out of the way. Let me out. You got to block me. I looked right at my roommate and I said, did you see that? She goes, that is ridiculous. She had no fear. There's two of us. I'm just trying to get out and go left away from her. Nope, she wants to play power. I said, if I buy that deuce in half, I'll just rev the engine because that'll be nice and loud and that turbo kick in. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you have that. You'll have a black woman or a white woman who'll sit there in her fucking Prius or her smart car and stare and glare at you. Go ahead and hit me. You'll go to jail. Actually, a deuce and a half could run over you. You'd be dead. And yeah, I'd be going to jail, but you'd be done or comatose. Why do women fuck with people? When they're in the wrong to begin with, you are in the aisle blocking me from getting out. This is what's wrong with our society. And some dumb guy fucked that black woman once. Thought she was hot. That guy should be jailed for that. Anybody who has sex with these kind of women and produces offspring should be incarcerated. This is what women grow up in this country to be: a problem, a nuisance, a power trip, a bitch. And I see most women as just taking up resources, blowing money out of their ass to protect dogs and squirrels. And their whole purpose for being here really is a waste of fucking time. They don't do anything for the good of anybody. And they sit there and judge men. So I'll take it to the next level. What are you doing for society? Nothing. You feel empowered because you blocked a white couple in a truck. Okay, you're going to go home. And I bet you she went home. Yeah, there was this white guy honking, making me move. I showed him. This is the stupid world I live in. And it's not just here, it's Denver. When the late Ann Woodworth was alive, she asked me to take her to the Colorado Mills Outlet Mall, and I took her to Target to get some stuff because the car was being worked on. And big wide aisle. I back my truck in or I pull through. I don't like backing out of malls because people are dumb. They'll fly down there at 80 miles an hour instead of using caution and then honk when they see you're backing up slowly. You know we can't see. When I see a vehicle backing up, I just stop and let them come out. Oh, no, no, no. Americans can do that. And women, no, 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 no. Women are first. They're going to just butt up in there and honk and make a scene. I had a guy do that one day. I had pulled in and a guy in a van, and I started to back up, and I didn't back into his area. I was straightening myself out, and he honks, and I went, wonk. He stops and looks, and I'm like, what the fuck? You see me adjusting my truck? Get off of my ass. You know how they crowd like the street I live on. They will ride my ass. What if I want to stop and back into my driveway? Fortunately, I got enough between the fence in the front and the actual pavement. I pull off there and then just back her in. These people won't let you back up. They'll be up your butt and you can't back up. And so I'd have to put my arm, go. Then they'll get mad. You know, if you don't tailgate and you watch what somebody's doing, you see their turn signal on, you could figure out, oh, he wants to back into his driveway. See, good people in America used to do that. People are assholes today. Women just feel so powerful in their little stupid cars. But men too. Men too. That's where we've arrived. You're a big alpha, aren't you? You're so impressive in your hoopty. I think women, by and large, have failed in American society. I think most women in a church setting are a waste of time to pursue. I think the lie that women have taught themselves that they're so godly and so close to Jesus is simply that, a lie. Their music tastes suck. Their depth of theological understanding is very limited. And their actual walk with Jesus is not something that evokes passion or invites me further in. In fact, most of the churches today don't invite me in on any level. So the point of this video, be who you are. Let God work on you. Let God remove the dross from your life. You will find people that like you just the way you are. You'll find a whole lot of people that don't. You're not going to get everybody underneath your umbrella, okay? And that's not what you're supposed to do. I'm not going to change the Black community, the Democrat community, the atheist community, the evolutionist community. I have a hard enough changing myself. But somewhere, somehow, Pacific Ocean, Asia speaks truth. And somebody, somewhere, somehow, is affected. Either to hate me and throw vitriol on me, which proves they're convicted. And I need to take comfort in that. Yep, I threw a rock in a pack of dogs and you can tell who got hit. That's okay. God can use that anger and angst to drive somebody to the truth. And if that happens, I've done my job. When you stand on the truth, you're not always going to have fans and club members and financial support. I mean, no offense, Paul Joseph Watch and Better Bachelor, they make money off of their channels. I don't send them money. And the reason I don't is they need to get a job like everybody else. I do this for fun. I don't get remuneration. And I understand that, but I'm not going to pay Paul Joseph Watson or any of them a dime. They're a man just like me. I'm not going to support them monetarily. I'll listen to their stuff. They got good stuff. You want to sit and do videos all day and make money. Go work as hard as I've worked. Get behind a school bus and deal with those nasty kids. You won't. And I don't do that anymore because several reasons. But one of the biggest is I don't like dealing with these kids down here. When you got a school district that will not back up the drivers, kind of stupid to be in that position. So I do different things now to make a living. And my stress has pretty much evaporated. Thanks for listening. Be true to who you are. To thine own self be true. You're not going to fit under the preacher's little box label or another Christian's. Don't get caught in that trap. Look at them and tell them, I listened to a guy Pacific and he told me this. You may not see the prettiest stuff coming out of my life, but I'm in the refiner's fire and God's heating me up right now. There's a lot of ugly stuff bubbling to the surface. And if I understand you, preacher, correctly, I think you have said at one time that when you become a Christian, God brings trials into our life to heat us up and to refine us so that we'll be as pure gold. And in order to make pure gold, it's got to get pretty hot. And when it gets pretty hot, there's going to be some chafing and struggling and some ugly stuff that reveals itself. So all this lie about having pep rallies to be more godly, they really don't work. Because if you look at the girls in this congregation, they're silly, they dress inappropriately, they're full of their narcissism, and that's not going away. So you want to beat up the men for jacking off, masturbation, and pornography and lust. But these women that they're married to don't give them the reason to leave that behind. So until the church wants to deal with the whole kit and caboodle and stop favoring women and being sexist against men, I'm going to look at most preachers and keep them at arm's distance. I'll go to church, I'll listen to the sermon, but I'm not going to get close. I'm not going to become a member because I don't have to. I have to get close to God. He gives me my next breath. He gives me my next meal. He gives me the strength to endure and to do and to get through stuff. Not the preacher, not some clown in a church. We need to go to church, but don't open up to everybody in there. Use discernment, folks. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. God's not finished with Pacific. Okay? And stop listening to a bunch of people that want to be bossy butt over your life. Get away from them. You're not a child. You're a grown man, men. Take advice where advice is due. Take it from the men, not a bunch of ratchet feminist females. The only women you should listen to are those that model behavior and love you and care about you and can tenderly tell you something where you can receive it. Those are the kind you should listen to, not this crap that you see all around us. I believe in the value of the woman. Most of the women today in American society are not to be valued, honored, or respected. That doesn't mean you abuse them. It doesn't mean you engage in stupid behavior with them. It means you ignore them, you look around and through them, and you move on. You only deal with them as you have to. If they're your boss, they're your supervisor, you be polite, you dot your I's, you cross your T's. You don't kiss their ass. But men need to start being men, and men need to stop submitting and eating out of the hands of all these cult personas. I will not listen to YouTube artists that are women. Will not. I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over men. Stop eating out of their hand, man. Well, but they're forced. I don't care. Listen to men, not them. This is Pacific. Have an awesome weekend.